Good afternoon. Today we're going to talk about our loan officer training class. This is something that's probably just evolved in the real estate brokerage business in the last 5 years. For years and years, loan officers were relying on realtors for their business. As the banking industry changed about 4 years ago with the crisis, now most of the loans are originated by about four banks, and that is Wells Fargo actually uh, services and originates about 50% of the total loans in the United States. So it's really created an opportunity for realtors to go after this type of business when these things happened. Chase is another large lender. So the large banking institutions for the last 3 years have really been the ones that are originating most of the mortgages. For years there were rumors that they wanted to get into the real estate business too, but that's been squashed, so that's not an issue or discussion anymore. But the amount of business that's controlled by the large banks definitely has shifted, which has created an opportunity for you guys. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about is how do you leverage that opportunity. And then another thing we're going to talk about is how do you identify loan officers that can send you the most business. So you want to spend time with those that are writing the most approval letters and that are talking with the most buyers, which of course would be hopefully within your geo farm and have a branch retail presence. So that's, if there's anything that I've seen other realtors that have applied this prospecting where I've seen them make mistakes before, is that they try to do this with loan officers that contact them. Well, that's the wrong approach. You have to go out to the bank and walk into their bank just like a customer does and talk to them, because they have customers. It's those that have the foot traffic, that have a retail branch in the community, that are writing the most mortgage approval letters. Capital One is another bank that is growing as far as their mortgage retail presence. So anytime you see a new bank branch in your geo farm or in your area, go into that bank branch, and credit unions as well. So credit unions are also great resources, but go to those branches and ask them, find out who are their loan officers, and then you really want to find out how many potential buyers are they reaching a month. So how many approval letters are they writing a month? What are they doing if those people are declined or denied a loan? So we're going to talk about all those things today. And it goes along with anyone else that's in your sphere of influence. Building credibility is the first thing that you have to work on, and then you have to earn their referrals, and then you have to ask for the business and follow up. So this is not something that happens on the first visit, but that loan officer by any means. This is something that you don't even probably want to ask for business until you're on your third or fourth meeting or contact with that loan officer, just like it would be with anyone else that you're growing a relationship with within your sphere of influence. So this is just one component, one area of business. I'd like to give kudos to Angela Cressini. She's done a great job with this in her area. And she's in the southern sector of the Metroplex, and I think there's just one loan officer she's working with, and it's a Wells Fargo loan officer, and she gets consistent mortgage pre-approved buyers referred to her monthly. So this is something that, again, did not happen overnight. It's a relationship that she developed, and more than likely, she had cast a wide net and with multiple loan officers, and this is the one that she developed the best relationship with. So you really want to have one or two that you can count on for consistent business, but initially you want to target everyone that's in your geographic area that has a retail presence. So what I want you guys to reference for this training to keep in mind is the Waller Group Buyer Script Workbook, because we have just a summary. It's a really brief summary of the community loan officer prospecting training that is in that on pages 10 and 11 of the buyer book. So it needs to accompany this. The other thing that I would take with you, that you need to keep with you on this when you're with these loan officers, is a copy of your most recent I Have a Buyer flyer or postcard. If you're not doing postcards in your geographic area, then you can always do a flyer. It doesn't cost anything to print these. here in our office. And even if you just make up some names to get them an example, or if you take someone else's, it's probably, I don't want you to make up names, but just take someone else's as an example of what you will be doing for buyers in that geographic area. That lends itself to more credibility for you, and it shows you what you're doing to go above and beyond for buyers that they may potentially refer to you. So what we're going to do is, so the banks, primarily Wells Fargo being number one, probably the most important. I know the Wells Fargo regional managers and their city managers in each city. And one of the things that you'll learn is that the large banks, sometimes it's their rookie loan officers that are sitting in the bank branch. So a lot of times they don't know what they need to know about the local market. Well, you're the local market expert. Bring a copy of your white paper. So that's really great information to bring to that loan officer, something that shows, that proves what a great advocate you are for that community, and hopefully educates that loan officer on the market, what's going on in their local market. So where is it most of these buyers are coming from? Where, what's the average sales price? How has the market changed in the last year? That's good data, good information that a lot of these rookie loan officers, they may have just moved here and just got this job with Wells Fargo last week. Sometimes those can be your best candidates, or people that haven't established new relationships with realtors yet. So that's one of the first questions you want to do, and to build that rapport is, how long have you been with Wells Fargo? What kind of activity are you doing a month? Where were you before you were here? And they just graduate college? Is it the first, have they originated a loan before? And or is it someone that's very experienced? If they're very seasoned and very experienced, maybe they just moved to Wells Fargo or Chase and they were with a local bank, and they have realtors that they've referred business to for years that they've worked with. And so that may be a little tougher nut to crack, but those are things that you want to determine and find out as you're developing that relationship with that loan officer. Capital One has been growing at a rapid pace, so I'd also consider Capital One, and then Chase and Bank of America. So those would probably be the four that I would think of off the top of my head. Probably forgetting several others, but credit unions, one of the things you'll want to find out about credit unions oftentimes have a realtor program, and they work with CU Advantage is the name of that, CU Members Plus. I have a deal right now in closing. It's an $850,000 deal, and it's from, it's actually a friend, but he's going through a credit union and they have this program. So by me just doing this for my friend, working with him and learning about the credit union program, I was able to get our brokerage approved with Altair Relocation Company, which services the rebates, basically kind of the referral program for a lot of the credit unions. So if they say, well, we have a realtor program in place, we have to, if people don't have a realtor, that's one of the questions we ask, is if they have a realtor or not, and we have to send them to CU Advantage, or we have to send them to this phone number. Find that out, find out who it is, and if it's through Altair Relocation, or if it's through CU Advantage, then, which is a Texas-based bank, then we are approved brokerage for that. So they can actually request you, and you'll still get that. Now you have to pay a 35% referral fee to Altair Relocation, but it also helps capture that buyer because they get a percentage of that back at closing. So they're getting a rebate on their closing statement. You'll notice that credit union mortgage borrowers are generally very value conscious people. The average sales price is usually not as high with a credit union buyer, but they're very value conscious. So if they're getting that commission rebate, and there's a lot of other benefits that go with the program, it's a fantastic program. So if the credit union's not using a program like that, there again, reach out to me and I may be able to facilitate that and help that, which would increase their capture rate. And that's the other thing that I'll emphasize in this that's really important to making this work with your loan officers is you have to understand what motivates that loan officer. If you're going in trying to sell yourself, you're taking the wrong approach. You need to be going in trying to research to find out how you can help that loan officer. I guarantee if you can prove to them or show them how they're going to increase their capture rate and they're going to increase their closing rate by using you, you will get referrals very fast. It will happen very fast and very consistently. But if you're not getting referrals, then that's the problem. You're not proving to them how you're going to help them by increasing their capture rate. So capture rate is for how many approval letters do they write versus how many fundings do they have a month. So how many mortgage approval letters do they write for a customer that comes in versus how many closings do they have a month. So it's just like you when you're writing offers versus your monthly closings. If you can help them with their monthly closings, they will listen to you. So you have to show how you're going to help them. So how are some ways that you can help them with their monthly closings? Well, if your buyers, there's some lenders that have told me, oh, I send all my business to Realtor X. Every time I send them a buyer, they have a contract and they're closed within 30 days. They don't care how it happens. They don't care that, but they know that Realtor has a great track record because when they send them a buyer, it results in a closing and a funded loan for them. So that is the lingo that you need to be speaking with these loan officers before they'll respond to you. And the way, how is it that you can capture buyers? The way you capture buyers is market knowledge. You know, showing them this is basic stuff, guys and gals. This is not brain surgery. It's just matching the buyer with the seller. So that's why these I have a buyer postcards and flyers are so effective. It's why having a white paper that actually shows the knowledge that you have in your geographic area is so effective. And it's not, don't overthink these things. It's just matching the buyer with seller. And if that loan officer knows that they have a better chance of you being able to do that versus the competitor, who do you think they're going to send their referrals to? So let's talk about a few tricks and how can we get these. So one would be through fallouts. So or outstanding approval letters that they have. So a question that you want to ask is how many approval letters you have out right now to buyers that they do not have, they've not identified a home. It's a very common problem that loan officers have. That means that buyer could be out there shopping around for another loan officer. So the sooner they have a contract, the better it is. So if you know that buyer's criteria, you know why they haven't found a home, or maybe you can get that loan officer to share a sample of your marketing, what you do to find properties, or success stories of how you've found properties for other buyers, how you've been able to find properties that were not in the MLS, then that's very profitable, and that can help you a lot through your increase your conversion rate. So the other way is on the fallouts. So if they have a buyer that's fallen out of contract, then you have the opportunity to go in and possibly save the deal. But showing your value and your market knowledge is one of the key components to this. And that is that I have a buyer flyer and telling them and letting them know the percentage of sales that happen in that area that are not in the MLS. You know, the best realtors are securing about 10 to 40% of their business outside of the MLS, and just through the Facebook closed real estate groups, just through guerrilla marketing like this, just through for sale by owners and other things before they go to the MLS. We're in such a hot seller's market right now. The properties that are hitting the MLS are yesterday's news. Those are the ones that I know. Me personally, the last two properties I sold weren't even listed in MLS. They were new construction. One of them wasn't even at frame stage yet. So these are things that you knowing your local market and through knowing your white paper, you're going to have access to a lot more inventory, and showing that to the loan officer is really helping you earn that referral. So think about that when you're talking to them, and that's where your market knowledge, your market expertise should be worked into the dialogue, worked into that conversation when you're there at their bank branch and you're talking about the market and giving the market updates. So the other thing to do is setting proper expectations. You know, it's probably one of the biggest challenges as an independent contractor that we all have in the business is what should I be capturing? What should my results be? And what's my success rate? So let's spend a little bit of time on that. I would, one of the questions, and I tend to kind of interrogate people when I'm asking the question. So this is it's like a massage. It's a relationship that you're having to massage as far as building rapport, and also find out this information, because it's important information you need to find out while you're talking to these people. And make sure you're doing it face to face. It's so much easier to do this face to face versus over the phone. And 70% of communication is face to face. So when you're in that community bank branch, then you're going to be able to expedite your results. I guarantee it. So one of the questions is, how many approval letters are you writing a month? And I know we talked about that at the beginning of the call, but how many approval letters are you writing a month? How many declines or people are you declining a month? So that's another important question. What are you doing with those declines? Are they going into credit repair? Are you referring them to a third party? Do you have a third credit repair program? How do you deal with those declines? So here's another thing, realtors, is that if you can show them how you can help them capture loans from those declines, you're creating value for them, right? You're creating more fundings. If you can take business that they wouldn't or otherwise get and turn that into a closed loan. So you can do that through the Hyperion Homes program, explaining how property values have been going up 8 to 12% a year here in the Metroplex. And here we have a program that will allow your declined borrower to rent a home. They just need 3%, 3 months deposit, basically. And they can rent the home and have a contract locked in to purchase that home a year down the road at only a 5% greater increase in value instead of 8 to 12% what the market is. And this Hyperion Homes, they will go out and they will give you, the realtor, a pre-approval letter, basically, which is a proof of funds letter, because they're paying cash for it, which gives you more borrowing power in the first place for your buyer. And then you close on that. And then a year, when they qualify for the loan, then they're going to go back to that same loan officer, wherever your referral came from that loan officer that couldn't approve them a year ago. So these are things that the loan officers need to be thinking about too, is that especially if it's a new loan officer or a rookie, they may not know what percentage of their declines are eventually getting their credit repaired. The sad statistics are a lot of the people that may have great intentions of repairing their credit, or great intentions of enrolling in a credit repair service, or try to work with that loan officer, the success rate of actually getting them closed on a loan is pretty low. It's about, Reginald, what would you say is the success rate on a credit repair candidate?
30%.
30%. Okay. And that's for someone that you decline, or would that be somewhat for someone that enrolls in a program?
I would say somebody that declined.
Okay. Good.
If they enroll, then there's a good possibility they will be able to get some work done. And
so what's the success rate if they enroll?
Probably at 30%.
At 30%. Okay. Okay. So keep in mind, there's two processes here. They have to enroll in a credit repair program after they're declined, and then only about 30% of those people actually do fund on a loan. So
that's only because most of them don't stick with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a reason they don't have good credit, right? So but let's think about this. What is it that motivates that borrower? That borrower was motivated to come in and get an approval letter probably because they wanted to buy a house. They either found a house, they have a relative or friend that just bought a house, and now it's prompted them to do it. Their lease is up. So it's a lot of this falls around timing. So if you have a solution for them, which is the Hyperion loan program or a rent to own program, to where you can put them in a house immediately, and that loan officer has a way to instead of, who wants to decline a loan and say, come back and see me in 6 months, or here's a credit repair program that's going to cost you X amount of dollars a month. And then the loan officer's thinking, I've got a 20, 30% shot that they're going to do this. And to where if they have a solution, and that loan officer has basically 100% chance that they'll get the loan in a year when they do qualify. Because granted, if someone pays their rent for a year, then they're probably going to be able to qualify for a loan. So these are what's your perspective on that, Reginald?
I agree with you. And that's what I was gonna say. One of the things is because no one is basically with them other than the credit repair person. Whereas, when the realtor got them excited about buying a home and they found that they had credit issues, then everybody just walks away from them. But if somebody stayed with them, continue to communicate with them, they will probably fall into that 60%, and that 60% will probably increase even higher.
Right.
To possibly 70 or 75%, because you gotta keep them motivated.
Right. So Reginald, he's a loan officer in the company and also a realtor here. So he's echoing this about the success rate is expedited when you have someone that's following up on that loan approval to make sure they're getting approved a year later. The great thing for you as a realtor, you make your commission up front when you sell that home to Hyperion Homes. So that's just one angle in the community loan officer prospecting program. But let's get back to our numbers as far as expectations. So you want to find out how many approval letters are they writing a month? How many declines are they writing a month? And then probably the most important question is, who is the realtor that you're currently sending your referrals to? How long have you worked with that realtor? And how, tell me about that relationship, because I'd like to earn that business at some point. And realtors get busy, especially realtors that are buyer agents. Right now, we're entering a market that the best realtors don't have time for more buyers. So maybe certain price points you work into with the loan officer. If they're under a certain price point, just give me a shot at it. Or because you're not trying to take business away from someone they have that's a valued partner already. You're just trying to add to what they have. So if you could help them fund more loans that they wouldn't otherwise fund, if you can help them find property for buyers that they can't find, then that's important. So the question is, what realtor are you currently working with? And then the final question, which would be probably one of the most important questions, is, well, who are buyers right now that I could add on my marketing piece for my I Have a Buyer flyer, my I Have a Buyer marketing? And what I would like to do is your most motivated buyers that are looking in my geographic farm, I'd like their criteria, and I don't charge anything for this. This is worth a lot of money to be marketing for your buyers. And the best part, Mr. and Ms. Loan Officer, is that I'm not even asking for your buyer. I will work with the agent that they're already working with. So you're just looking for the listing side of the transaction. You will work with their agent that he's already referred them to on the buyer side. So there should be never any reason not to have 3 A buyers all the time for your I Have a Buyer flyer and marketing when you're properly utilizing the community loan officer prospecting program. So make sure that's worked into your dialogue with your loan officers. So then the final and probably last question that, or not necessarily a question, but something you need to walk out of your meeting with at some point. It may be, you may have to have 3 or 4 interactions or meetings with the loan officer before you get to this point. But you want the goal of being able, within 30 days or so, to walk out of that meeting knowing, okay, how many approvals a month can I count on for this loan officer? What's my goal? How many approvals are they writing? If they're only writing 2 or 3 approvals a month and they do this part-time and they're only in that branch, sitting in that bank branch 1 day a week, and they've got 10 other branches around the Metroplex they're in, it may not be worth your time. If they're writing 30, 35 approval letters a month and they can, they may have more business that they could be doing that's just falling through the cracks, and they have a lot of to be determined approval letters out there that they're not following up with. Hey, those may be some areas that you could help them with to increase those fundings. So make sure your attitude is always, how am I going to help this loan officer increase their fundings? And then indirectly, you want to walk away knowing how many pre-approved referrals can I count on a month from them. And if they see the value in what you're doing in your market, and you are the local market expert, and your white paper is as robust as it should be, and your I Have a Buyer marketing is current, and you're having open houses in the area, and they, you're going by their office, dropping by before the open house the week before and giving invitations to that loan officer for the open house, that you're busting your butt earning your referrals by doing that. So make sure that they see you and that those are the activities that you're doing to not only promote your listing and exposure in the neighborhood, but also work that relationship with those local loan officers. It's another way the banking industry has really changed in the last 4 or 5 years, is that these regional managers and regional and even the national banks are really having to teach their local loan officers to go out and get involved in the community. It's a real paradigm shift, something that hasn't really happened in the banking industry in the past. Historically, people just walked in. The banking business has gotten more competitive. So they are expecting their loan officers to get more involved in the community, in the Chamber of Commerce, and work to find out what's going on to initiate more business for that bank branch, more renters, moving those renters to mortgages. So if you can help them with that, you can help them with that through home buyer seminars. You can help them with that through your involvement in the local community Chamber of Commerce. You can help them through your co-marketing and co-branding on I Have a Buyer flyers. These are for free. The direct mail postcards, that's something that we normally co-brand with the title company. So you can still promote or do something with a lender on that. So keep those things in mind, that it's a partnership and they're just one of the partners in the community. So with that, we're at about 30 minutes. So questions, I appreciate you guys being here, Anna and Reginald, and it's good to see some.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. Mm-hmm. It's really good that you're doing this segment, because as a loan officer, most of the time, loan officers don't get that in return. They are always looked at, okay, what are you gonna bring me? Right. But this is a switch.
Right.
A switch, I'm sorry, for realtors to go out and loan officers.
And it's simply because the industry's changed, and Reginald's echoing what I was saying about how, normally these realtors are coming in and they're just asking for business. And it's almost, think of the same attitudes of a for sale by owner, to where, oh, these realtors are calling me looking for a listing. Well, let's reverse the situation. You're helping that for sale by owner get their property sold through our Waller Group for sale by owner open house program. You're helping that loan officer close more loans through the things that we have in place, marketing to buyers, opening up more inventory to their buyers. If you have 20 to 30% more inventory than your competition, that Keller Williams agent or that Remax agent or that Ebby Holiday agent, then you have a very clear competitive advantage, and that loan officer has a much better chance of getting that loan funded by using you versus some other agent that is not going to those links and those efforts to identify property for their buyer. You previewing those for sale by owners in the community, you knowing off the top of your head of properties that they can't find on the MLS, that other realtors are not looking at the MLS, but you are, because you know your white paper, you know your market, and you work the Waller Group for sale by owner open house program, and you are earning the referrals from the community, whether it's a community business, but the loan officer is just one business in the community and can be one of the most profitable for you. But this same attitude, this servant attitude, is what you want to take to others in the community, whether it's a florist, whether it's a nail salon, whether they're restaurants. How can you help them generate more business? There's certain hours. Any retail business is a candidate for this, and banks are in the retail business in a way. When they have a retail branch, they have to have a lot of revenue to pay for those loan officers to be in that retail branch, and they have to have a lot of business coming in and deposits coming in to be able to justify that. So look at this like a lot of other retail businesses, dry cleaners, there's a lot of them, but think about the ones that are having the most interaction with buyers and with sellers. Banks, mortgage loan officers, kind of at the top of that list. Okay, guys, I don't want to run more than 30 minutes, so we're at the end of our time. Feel free to contact Richard or myself with any questions, and then always remember to reference the community loan officer training that's in the Waller Group buyer script book as well, and reference your I have a buyer of flyers and marketing material in addition to that. Have a great, productive week.